chance and then you blew it.
That is the most absurd statement of the year.
Nice. Nice.
Oh, baby.
I'm in my zone, I'm feeling it.
Live from Rock Solid Studios in Granite Falls, it's time for MinneZona Sports, live with DJ Matty C. and Paul the Shield Vold.
And this is MinneZona Sports Live. We are back. Yes, episode 61, folks. Yeah, 61 episodes of MinneZona Sports Live. It's hard to believe. But without further ado, I'm your host, DJ Matty C, a.k.a. Matt Callie, a.k.a. Callie, a.k.a. Matty C, etc., etc., etc. And always, from the Woods and Shore Studios in Aiken, Minnesota, Paul Volt, the Shield. What's going on, Shield?
You know, at least we know for sure that we can at least put on the show and not blow it like the Twins just did against
true.
Oakland. Can't beat Oakland ever. I don't care where it is, how it's played. Twins can't ever beat Oakland. I'm a little frazzled by that, but hopefully we can recover and have a halfway decent show today.
Well, the thing is, Voldy, is that we do have a great show tonight. Even though, here's the thing, we can rant about the Twins, and it's going to be fantastic because I have a lot to talk about regarding that. And no, I'm not going to go into the aspects of the whole Polads thing. We've already talked about that. We're going to talk about the current situation that is going on right now after the Twins had an opportunity to win this game and they blew it. But we're talking Twins, and also Voldy, we have a guest on. We have a guest on. We recorded with none other than Sam Gabrielli. He joins the show for segment number 2. We are getting ready to give you guys a great segment. We're talking everything hockey, all the up-and-coming hockey stars like Kaprizov, Cole Caulfield as well. So, Breaking Into the League podcast, we're going to get to that in a second because we got to get things going with some Tater Tot hot take. We got to get to the Twins. We're going to get to the Vikings as well. Draft is coming up, and there's an interesting thought I want to put in your head, Voldy, when we get to that. So, anyway, let's get it going with some Tater Tot hot take.
Fresh out of the oven, it's Tater Tot Hot Take.
Now, we got some zoners already chiming in, Voldy. Been waiting all day for Wednesday night. You're darn right, Easy A. You're darn right. And then also Mets. Imagine scoring 12 runs and losing in extras. Well, that's what the Twins just did. They didn't even score any runs yesterday in the doubleheader, so there's that as well. So, let's get things going, Voldy, with the Twins. And obviously, let's get to before we get to the games, what just transpired like 3 minutes ago, let's talk about the issues that they've been having with COVID, because there's been a lot of players that have been on the COVID IL. A couple of them being one, Max Kepler. Sorry, Caitlin Toner, your love is on the COVID IL list. Kyle Garlick is on there as well. Caleb Thielbar, Andrelton Simmons is also on there as well, even though he said he doesn't want to take the vaccine, and look, he ends up getting COVID. So there's that. And I think Riddle's also on the list as well. So Voldy, we know COVID's kind of almost has been a thing since last March. Or March 2020, I should say. And now all of a sudden, COVID is starting to bite the Twins here. But in my humble opinion, I don't think there is no excuse getting swept by the A's here, especially when you had a chance to win today. But Voldy, going forward, do you think this is going to be a long-term problem now with all these positive tests? What do you think?
I mean, it certainly can be, especially the fact that last week a majority of the team got vaccinated and everything, and the next thing you know, 90% of the starting lineup is gone, and you got to start plugging holes with guys that weren't expected to play every day, maybe every 2-3 days. And then you got guys playing out of position. I mean, you had Willians Astadio, who was pitching Friday night. He's playing second base the last 2-3 games. You put Luis Arraez out in the outfield. I mean, that's not his natural position, but he's played the outfield before, but it's not where you want him in the first place. Because obviously at the start of the year, we were talking about how the Twins had the surplus of outfielders and trying to find places for these guys to play. And now you start looking at it and it's just like, well, what do we do now that you're down, some of your top players? Obviously, Max Kepler being out is hurt. You get back Michael Rooker today, but he's got a lot of strikeouts. But there's some promising signs as well now that Josh Donaldson, consistently back in the lineup. He hit his first home run today, so there's at least that to go with. But, I mean, there's just so many things going on. Long term, I think it's going to hurt, especially the bullpen, because the bullpen can stop anything right now. They can't stop the bleeding, and they're just letting the blood just spew right out of the whole game, the whole situation. But I mean, it's been a rough last, basically since Friday. So the last 4 days have been tough to watch.
It has been, and I think Jimbo sums up my point here too. Colomé has been moved, has to be moved to a different spot in the bullpen. Please bring up Kirilloff. They should have had Kirilloff up day one. They should have been up. He should have been up day one. Colomé has been a bust so far, and it's honestly pissing me off a little bit because he had an opportunity to end this thing early, and he gives up. Sacrifice fly. Like, I get it. Obviously, with the throwing error by Arraez, you can't have that. We all understand that. But getting back to the COVID thing before I get more into it here, it's one of those things where what does it hurt to get vaccinated? I mean, this is something to where Andrelton Simmons didn't believe in that, and look, he's getting thrown into, he's like, oh, I don't want to be vaccinated. And that's your right if that's what you think, but then you end up getting COVID because whatever you're doing, I don't know what he was doing. But at the same time, now this affects the Twins. And now the Twins just got swept by the Athletics, which, we can't have that. I mean, come on. Especially what happened today. But will this affect long-term, Voldy? Quite possibly. I mean, the thing is you got to win some of these games early to get a little bit of momentum. And, there's plenty of games in the season, let's be honest. But you still want to have a hot start in order to keep adding up those wins. And, then again, the division is not that great either right now. I mean, there's a lot of 500. I think the Indians are 500. The White Sox are 500 and things like that. But it's frustrating to me why, why is this happening? Well, Andrelton Simmons, whatever he was doing, and obviously he doesn't believe in vaccination or whatever, but, this is what happens. This is what happens. Now, all of a sudden, the Twins are bit with COVID, like I just said. So, anyway, let's get to the zoners here for a second. Isaac Doherty, good. I haven't heard from you in a while. What is going on, Isaac? Let's go Wild Boys. Twins, yep, like we're talking about right now. Wild are doing just fine. We're going to get to the Wild in a second with Gabs here soon. And then Jimbo brings up a good point. Rogers should be the closer. He looked great today. And I think he's earned it. And I think, and here's the thing, Voldy, and the zoners, I think that he felt like he was wronged in how he was presented in the 2020 season. I mean, because he was really good not too long ago. And I think he took that personally, and now he's actually, starting to come on a little bit. So I agree with Jimbo. I think you take Colomé and say, look, man, you're not getting the job done. Let's throw in Rogers and go from there. So
Well, you
I
got
don't
to
see an
have a
issue
guy
with
to
that.
earn his way back, and that's the thing. You
Yeah.
move him back to an earlier inning, sixth or seventh inning guy, maybe get a couple of outs, in the middle portion of the innings, and then you're done. Start to build that confidence back up again, because obviously working in that pressure situation, not exactly getting it done. Everybody's hitting everything right now off column A. But yeah, I strongly agree. Taylor Rogers needs to be the guy. He was that guy a couple years ago for the Twins, and it worked out really well. I think 2019, he was the guy for the Twins at the back end of the bullpen that cemented that spot for them. And I'm just hoping that, Rocco starts to, look at that too as the option to say, look, we got to get this figured out, because obviously with the short hands that we've got right now, and it's going to be obviously today being a bit of a misnomer. If they're not going to be able to put up, 10, 12 runs a game, they're only going to put up 3 or 4. They're going to need that bullpen. They're going to need starters to go. I mean, they got roughed up a little bit with Barrios, and Maeda also got touched up a little bit today. And then obviously Matt Shoemaker took a hard L in game 1 of the doubleheader yesterday. But obviously, I mean, given the circumstance of everything with the layoff too, that kind of plays a little bit of a factor, but hopefully it's not a common trend that'll be going on for, the next couple of weeks until guys can, at least be able to start working their way back from quarantine and everything.
Or exactly. And you brought up an interesting point. I think there's some people, and I've been looking on the socials medias a little bit here too. People are starting to question Rocco Baldelli and some of his decisions that he's made. And having Arise at third today, I think, was a bad idea. I think you got to go with the guy that knows third base well, and Josh Donaldson. Then also the bullpen. I mean, I say it, I've said it way too much. Pitching! It doesn't matter if it's starting pitching. It matters with the bullpen. It matters with the closing pitching as well. And none of that has been meshing together. Now, back to Baldelli. Why would you do that? And then also keep Calumet in after he didn't have a great inning, by the way, when they tied the game. The Twins were up 10-9. And then all of a sudden, Calumet just craps the bed. I wish I could say the other word, but I can't. This is PG show with a sprinkle of 13. But This is something to where this falls on the manager to try and get this team on the right track. Now, it was a start by having them, score all these runs today. Offense did their job today. The pitching did not do their jobs today. And obviously, the fielding was bad. I like Arise a lot. Here's the thing. I really like Arise. But he shouldn't be at third. He shouldn't be at third. Josh Donaldson needs to be at third. Josh Donaldson, I think, makes that play. That's just me. Willens Astudillo. Voldy, you mentioned it before the show. He was playing second, for God's sake. Yeah. I mean, come on. What is going on here? So I am questioning a lot of Baldelli's decisions. I want to know what the zoners think as well. So, I mean, I'm starting to question it, and especially when they couldn't even score one run in the doubleheader games. I mean, that's embarrassing. Right. I mean, I don't know about you, but I think that's just absolutely embarrassing. But I don't know. Zoners, what do you think? Do you think Baldelli, you're starting to question Baldelli's judgment a little bit? Let us know.
I mean, I don't understand why Baldelli's taking guys out of their natural positions. Yeah. I mean, 2 years ago, Luis Arise was the guy at second base. Now you move him over to third. Sure, obviously he's played a little bit of third base in emergency situations, but he's not an everyday third baseman. Then you put, Astudillo, who has played third base. He's played some first base, has played a couple games in the outfield, but you put him at second base for just the third time in his career. I don't get that all too much. And then obviously the whole Simmons situation. You put Polanco at short. He's perfectly capable at short. Normally you want him at second base. And then all the other shifting, you take Donaldson out of, off the defense as well. I don't get that. I honestly just don't understand how and why that's happening in the first place. Because, some guys will say that, defense kind of keeps their game even keel. You put him at a DH spot. Sure, it's nice every once in a while, but some guys prefer to play a little bit defense. Obviously, they've got the big bat, but they want to be able to stay, as consistent as possible over at third, over at their defensive position to, at least have a chance to, prove to themselves or at least continue to hone their craft a little bit. I just don't understand all the decision making that's definitely going the wrong way for Baldelli right now.
And we questioned this in that playoff series versus the Astros too. So we have to factor that in as well. Real quick, Voldy, then we're going to move on to draft here. But Isaac is asking, when you guys get to the Wild, we can get to it just right. We're going to tell you right now, then we can get more in depth here later. Do you think Kaprizov will win the Calder Trophy? Voldy, yes or no?
Yes.
I say yes, too. I think, Kaprizov's been killing it as of late, and he deserves it, for one.
He's not a rookie. He's 24
yeah,
years
whatever.
old.
They can
Whatever.
Shove it.
First year in the league.
Yeah.
It's a rookie.
Yeah, exactly. Matt says, Baldelli hates small ball situations. He puts in Garver, who strikes out when they could have left the original hitter in and bunted, even though it worked out with Buxton. I can't even disagree with that. I think it's time to start questioning Baldelli's decisions. I really do, because he is really dropping the ball here. All right, let's move on to the Vikings. The draft is almost upon us, Voldy. It is going. I can't believe it. First of all, yeah, exactly. And there's been a lot of talk. Okay, there's been a lot of talk, and now I don't want to say. Here's the thing. I don't want to say that this. I don't believe this because I don't think this guy's gonna fall that far. But in order for our favorite team to go get this guy. We've talked about this guy a lot. But I just think it's a little too far-fetched. There are other needs. There are other needs for this team right now. And let me ask you the question. And I asked the question to the Zoners as well. Do you think the Vikings will trade up to get none other than Minnesota native Trey Lance? Voldy.
Well, I think it's a nice story, but I don't think it's very conceivable, especially with the fact that Slick Rick has got all these picks to work with, and obviously the team has got to be built out of the draft. If this happens, I wouldn't be too surprised if things start going sideways mid-portion of the year that Slick Rick doesn't get the axe from the Will family as well. I think if you bet the farm on Trey Lance, I mean, look, I have no problem with Trey Lance getting drafted as well. I think he's a hell of an athlete. He's going to do great things in the NFL. But if he gets drafted by the Vikings, I don't know. I don't like it. Me personally, I don't like it. Any other team, fantastic. That's great. You're going to get a franchise quarterback to build something around, but I don't know. I don't want it to see it to happen to the Vikings because of the fact that you put all this pressure on this homegrown kid and he's playing for the hometown team or at least for the home state team as well. You throw all that on top of him more times than not and doesn't end up all that well for a player to succeed well in an environment that he's all too familiar with. Sometimes it takes being uncomfortable in a situation for you see somebody truly to spread their wings and really progress as a player. I don't want to see it happen, honestly. I'm going to say no. I don't think this is going to happen.
I didn't believe it. I didn't believe it before, and I don't believe it now. Because I think some people, there are a lot of people that want to have this happen are Kirk haters. And here's the thing. I understand wanting to look to the future, okay? I really do. I understand that. But we need to keep the quarterback upright in order for us to be successful. We need to solidify the guard position. Dakota Dozier is not a starter, okay? He is a bona fide backup right now. And we cannot have that happen with Dakota Dozier again. Now, I'm not saying he's awful. I'm just saying we need to solidify that spot in order for us to be successful. they need to go O-lineman. I'm with the Curve Doctor. Now, I'm not saying that they're going to go O-lineman first round pick, okay? Because I think D-end is kind of... I mean, Jalen Phillips, Pay from Michigan. Obviously they got Gregory Rousseau as well. I mean, there's a whole slew of, and then cornerbacks. It wouldn't surprise me with Zim and whatnot. But Slick Rick will have to make the deal of his life if they are going to go and trade up to get Trey Lance. I think Trey Lance needs a little bit more progression in his game, and obviously learn in the game here a little bit more. I just don't. I don't see this happening just because I don't think they've done, unless they've secretly done a lot of homework on Trey Lance and want to go get him. Obviously, I feel like we would have heard something by now if the Vikings, were thinking of moving up. I don't think but if he starts, falling, which I don't think will happen because I think he's too good of a talent to pass up at this point.
Right.
But I don't think they're going to do it. I don't think they want to do that at this point. But knowing Slick Rick, I feel like he likes to move back more than he does forward. But I think he needs to be aggressive in the second round, or move up in the second round or something like that. I don't see a reason why not, because I think you need to push your chips on offensive line, on edge rushers. So that's just my opinion on it. And for the Trey Lance thing, no, I don't think they're going to do it. And if they do it, I won't be heartbroken if they do it. Okay, I won't. If they do it, okay, we'll see what happens. All right, Jimbo, there's no way they are trading up for Trey, okay? If he is there at 14, they will take him. If he will be on the bench for 2 years behind Kirk. If that happens, I'm fine with that.
Absolutely.
Honestly, if that happens, I am fine with that. And then he also says O-line, then D-line. I don't have an issue with that, too. I think you got to have someone right by Daniil. And don't forget, we still have DJ Wanham, okay? We still have DJ Wanham as well. I'm not saying, it depends on how Daniil is. I think things may have cooled off with Daniil. I have a hard time believing that he doesn't want to be here because, I mean, shoot, the guy's worked his tail off to try and get back. Let's see what happens. But I don't see this happening, Voldy. But we're gonna get more in depth on the draft here next week. Okay, we're gonna have a lot of fun with that. We might have Mikey on as well, but. Here's the thing. If Trey Lance falls to the Vikings at 14 and there's no other position that you think, okay, we can't pass this up and we can throw him behind Kirk, then I don't see why not, but I think there are other teams looking for that. And I'm not saying like these guys are Patrick Mahomes. They're looking for that next Patrick Mahomes. Those, with the Wilsons.
Yes, they are.
The Lances and, everything like that. And so... I don't know. I think Voldy, we're just going to have to wait and see. And, I don't think it's going to happen. But stand up, Marshall, Minnesota, if he does. I mean, absolutely. That would be crazy. Because Voldy, I mean, you've seen the guy play, and he's great. He's absolutely fantastic. So, horns up. Horns up for the Bison, as we like to say. Well, maybe not for Will Wertel. Right. But, it's you being a UND and whatnot. But we wish Trey Lance all the luck in the world in the draft coming up here. So we'll see what happens. All right. It's time to get to our guest, Sam Gabrielli. It's time to get to some puck talk. And here's the thing. We talked a lot about, we talked about his podcast. We're talking about Kirill Kaprizov. We talked about... They call him Goal Caulfield on the podcast, so we had a lot of fun. It was fun recording and whatnot. And before we get to that, I want to get to Jimbo here one last time. 5 QBs will be gone in the first 9 picks. We're marking you down for that, Jimbo. We're marking you down for that. So we'll keep track of that and see what happens. All right, let's get to our interview with Sam Gabrielli from Breaking Into the League. Let's get it going. All right, we are back on MinneZona Sports Live. We have a special guest with us. Like we said, we're going to record this today, and then we're going to post it on Wednesday. But for MinneZona Sports Live, we welcome none other from the Breaking Into the League podcast, Sam Gabrielli. All claps out for Sam. Welcome to the show.
Yeah.
He's bought a MinneZona shirt. I've gone to high school with this guy. We always have a good time, and not only that, he's a weather guy, by the way, in Duluth. So it's a great time. It's a great time for you. So Sam, welcome to the MinneZona Sports Live. It's about frickin' time, right?
That's right, Matt, Paul. Thanks for having me, guys. Yeah, like you said, weather and sports. That's like my bread and butter. Like those are my two big things that I love, and yeah, it's going great with the podcast so far. I'm liking it.
Well, that's great. I mean, I've listened to most of the podcast, and obviously it's mostly hockey and things like that, and it's all the up and coming stars that'll come up here in the NHL. So it's a great time, and we have to make sure we get our hockey stuff in, because Voldy himself, he's
Yeah, exactly.
hockey. So we want to make sure that we get it for Voldy here too. But so Gabs, and by the way, I call Sam Gabs because that's what we called him back in high school. Gabs. That's how we're going to do it here, because that's how we do it on MinneZona. But
I called you Cal.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. That was the name. That's how we do it. So, Gabs, why did you get started? Or tell the zoners about breaking into the league. Why you guys wanted to start it, and just tell it for the zoners that don't know what it's about.
Yeah. So my co-host Ryan Martin and I, we worked together previously, and he's located out in the Carolinas now. And, it was like earlier this winter, probably in the February, actually it's more January, late December. And we were just like, calling each other, BSing on the phone about whatever, talking about life and whatever. And, I've always personally thought it'd be cool just to like be on a podcast, whether it be about like something weather related or sports or pop culture, like whatever. Like I thought it'd be kind of fun if me and a friend, whoever it would be, would just like start a podcast, like just to do one, you know what I mean? And just see where it goes. And he had the same idea too. And actually he wanted to do an NBA podcast with a friend of his, but things just didn't pan out. And so he just kind of said, hey, I like have in mind that, what our thought process was going into this and starting this podcast was a lot of people don't know about these third, fourth liners that are very young in the NHL. And, obviously that are prospects. I mean, people know their names, but we try and like dive deeper into how they play, what's their playing style on the ice, where they're coming from, like more of a background on them. And, in the future, what we want to work on too is like trying to find these prospects that are being drafted and have potential before they're drafted, and figure out like what teams are best fit to draft them. That's ultimately my goal with this. We're still learning on the fly. And also for the listeners, what we're trying to gather out of this is like, we're trying to make it podcast listener friendly. So, podcasts, sometimes they get really lengthy. I listen to one that's like 2 or 3 hours long every week. And don't get me wrong, I enjoy listening to it. But Ryan and I, our logic is people have busy lives. They are on their way to work and school in the morning. In the afternoon, we're trying to limit it to like 30 minutes or less every episode. And honestly, as we're getting more and more used to things, we ramble a lot more now. So the last few podcasts, we've been closer to 30 minutes in time. But, our logic was we don't want to have a long rambling thing. We just want to go straight to the point. I pick a player every week. He picks a player every week, and we go from there. And ultimately, like, we want to inform everybody just about some of these guys. And some of these guys everybody knows about going into it, like Cole Caulfield, we talked about last podcast. This is, he's one of the top talents in the league this year coming up. So sometimes we try and pick guys that not many have like heard about, you know what I mean? Like a defenseman for Montreal, who is like a third pair defenseman and is a healthy scratch, 5 nights out of the week. So that's basically the basis of our podcast. And then we also just like to ramble and have goofy personalities. So we like to insert that too.
Well, that sounds a lot like our show, actually.
Scarily a lot like our show.
That's it. I mean, it really is. And, the thing is, you want to keep the people's attention and everything like that. And, we try to do that. And with all these special segments like Tater Tot Hot Take and Absurder approved, and things like Voldy's Virtues, Callahan School of Logic. We try to keep it where like, oh, I'm not as interested in hockey, but I'm interested in the football aspect, so I want to listen to that. So we give the zoners a chance to listen to as much as they want to and what we're talking about and what's hot with the topics. So definitely understand where you're coming from with that. But I listened to your podcast, and you guys got great report. I think you guys do a great job, and your analysis is pretty spot on and whatnot. So I definitely it's a joy to listen. It's a joy to listen to a fellow cadet doing well with podcasting and being a weatherman. So there's that as well. But so let's get into some hockey here, because obviously there are a couple guys we got to talk about, and I'm going to get Voldy's input on this too, but Dollar Bill Kirill has been insane for the Wild so far, and we knew he was going to be good, Gabs, and everything like that. But honestly, I mean, what are your thoughts on Dollar Bill Kirill's progression here so far this season?
Biggest thing that comes to my mind: why didn't this guy come over from Russia like 2 or 3 years ago?
Right, exactly.
Like every time I see him have a ESPN top 10 real goal. Well, ESPN doesn't really. I don't really like ESPN and how they view hockey. But anyway,
Nope.
You and Voldy have the same thought process on that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We could rant about that, I'm sure. No, but like whenever he has those electric, highlight reel goals, I'm always thinking to myself, man, the things that Minnesotans would do to get him here earlier. The guy's still very young. What is he, 23?
Yeah, 23, I think.
So, yeah.
Yeah, he is. I mean, he should get Rookie of the Year for sure. I mean, he's got a just heck of a shot. And I was listening to the Avs commentators once when they were playing the Wild earlier this year, and they made a good point. They were saying, the play-by-play team, that one thing he likes to do is he likes to like go around the net a lot of the time and kind of gather speed, kind of centripetal force going around. And it's just like, it's a work of art watching him skate. He basically accelerates when he's going around the net, because his skates and his feet are kind of in like a 180-degree angle. You know what I mean? It's like, it is insane. And then he has a heck of a shot. He sets guys up all the time. What does he have? Like 16 goals and quite a bit of assists right now already. And
yeah.
35 points, 16 goals, 19 assists in 42 games. Crazy.
Yeah, he's a work of art watching him play every night. What do you guys think?
Well, Voldy, let me bring it over to you and your thoughts so far. Obviously, we've talked about a lot on MinneZona, but
right.
Any more tidbits that you're thinking with?
I'm just looking at from when the Wild did draft him in 2015 with that 5th round selection as well. I mean, that was probably one of the biggest steals out of the draft that they had. 5th round, 135th overall. I mean, there's probably 134 other guys from that draft who are just like scratching their heads like, this guy went in the 5th round. And obviously at that time he was so that was 6 years ago. So he was, 17 at the time. And he was that good at that point as well. But over the years, he's steadily gotten better with the fact that you go from 2015, where he's playing 50 some games, but only getting like 25 points. Season after that, 42, 40 points, 51, then 62 points last year as well, with increased playing time, and also playing in the World Junior tournament, playing in the Olympics as well, where they got the gold medal, and then also playing in one of the best leagues in the KHL that isn't the NHL. I mean, there's a lot of great talent that's still out there, ex-NHL players, and some of the best players that come out of Europe play in that league too. But the fact that he is able to come over right now and make an impact. I mean, first, game of the season, he scores the OT winner out in LA, and 35 points in 42 games. And he's playing on the top line as, rookie that is a strong candidate for Rookie of the Year, even though there are some naysayers saying that he shouldn't win Rookie of the Year, as opposed to like guys who come over from like Cuba or the Dominican Republic in baseball that have played like 10 years and then they win Rookie of the Year. Everybody's all up in arms about that. Look, if it's your first year in the league, you should be Rookie of the Year. I mean, that's how it contends. I just like the fact that he's been able to kind of give the Wild a bit of a jolt, because last couple of years the Wild have really rested their laurels on the guys with experience. Sure, we've seen like Jordan Greenway come up, when the Wild still had Charlie Coyle for a few years, and thought, oh, these young guys will be able to, pick up the pace for us. And It's just one of those where there's just been a lot of like, well, we'll get it next time, or this guy coming up here in a couple years is really going to do things for us. But right away, Kaprizov has just said, look, we need to change something. Even with Bill Guerin at the helm too, said we needed this guy to come over right away this year, make a difference. And so far it's been really good to see how much of an impact he's made right away for the Wild.
I mean, honestly, people kept talking him up when back, a couple of years ago and everything. I was like, well, when is he going to come up? When is he going to come up? But honestly, I think it's been worth the wait. And I've said this on the show, he's as advertised. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of the big thing with Kaprizov is that he's the way that he plays, it's fast, it's quick. He's not only scoring, but he's got like a crap ton of assists. And he's, him and Zuccarello have been on fire, absolutely just killing it on that line there. And I think he's added, like you said, Voldy, that jolt that they needed to, this season. And we didn't expect this season. I mean, that they'd be this good. And now all of a sudden we're seeing, hey, the future is looking bright here for the Wild, but not only the Wild, but Kaprizov as well. So hopefully in the off season they can get him signed and, hopefully he's a Wild player for life. That's all.
Oh, we'll see.
Well, yeah, fingers crossed, right?
I believe in Billy Guerin, man. The stuff
he'll get the job done.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They'll get him signed. And one thing I like to see too, I love Parise. He's a Minnesota talent, Minnesota boy. And of course, he's been like the core of the team for so long. Like when you think of the Minnesota Wild logo, you think of him or Koivu just over the years. But like I like that Bill Guerin now is not scared to healthy scratch him. You know what I mean? Like it's about winning. It's time for us to be a relevant franchise in the NHL.
Yeah, exactly. And, I think whatever move he makes, he doesn't care what anyone thinks. He thinks, oh, this is the right move. And honestly, I think everyone's been agreeing with his moves. Obviously, at the deadline, he's been quiet. And I think he's got a plan. I think the offseason it's going to be interesting. So we're keeping our fingers crossed that'll go well for the Wilds. But, all right, Gabs. Now let's move on to some guys outside of the Wild. You guys, I listened to your podcast and, you guys were kind of going back and forth on this, but Goal Caulfield, not Cole, but Goal Caulfield. You guys were really talking him up. He went to Wisconsin, right? He played for Wisconsin and he was absolute goal scorer. So what are your thoughts on good old Goal Caulfield?
Well, Cal, okay. So the past couple of years, ever since I went to Iowa State, I've been pretty bad actually at following the latest of college hockey, like sitting down, watching a lot of games. Now that I live in Duluth, I'm going to be back on that wagon here with the Bulldogs. I watched a fair amount of them in the Frozen Four. And I also watched Goal Caulfield in Wisconsin when they lost to Bemidji State. It was 6-3. There were a lot of Bemidji fans up here that were really, really liking that because they were a huge underdog against Caulfield in that Wisconsin team. But from what I saw to Caulfield in that game, I'm going to be honest, that's the only bit I watched of him live this year is that Bemidji game. And they were blown out of the water. I think it was like 4-0 after 2 periods. And I remember I was making a little bit of lunch or something and was watching the game in the third period because I knew it was a blowout. I wasn't like intently watching, but Caulfield was a total force in the third period. Like I think he put up like double-digit shots and was just peppering the goaltender for Bemidji. But the guy is 5'7". And when he gets the puck, he is so electric. Like he'll make everybody around him a much better player. And I mean, the guy's phenomenal. 5'7", he won the Hobie Baker Award, especially in today's NHL. I mean, to be that small and to be that like highly decorated as a young prospect breaking into the league. I mean, so we recorded last week about him, and that happened to be the day after he was announced he won Hobie Baker. So it was perfect timing. And I believe the night he was awarded Hobie Baker, he was playing in the AHL for the Montreal team, and he already put up his first night there, debut as a pro, put up 2 goals and assists. And I believe the Habs actually just called him up a couple of days ago, or maybe even yesterday. So he is going to be playing his first pro NHL game very soon.
That'll be interesting because you guys were really talking about. I mean, Hobie Baker Award winner. But one other thing I got to bring up because Voldy's not a huge fan of the UMD Bulldogs.
Nope.
I believe. No.
Why is that?
No, man, I'm a North Dakota guy through and through. I shouldn't say born and bred, but I'm a big North Dakota fan. So I just hate the Bulldogs. I can't like them. I mean, I did cheer for them when they won the national championship back in 2011, I think it was. Whenever they won it down in St. Paul, but other than that, I can't do it. I can't do it. I mean, I'm an hour and a half from Duluth, but I just can't. I can't like them. I just can't do it.
That's
man.
all right. It's what makes the rivalry fun, though. It makes
exactly.
No,
I mean, they just continue the stretch of the greatness that is for the NCHC, and that's the fault of the Big Ten for screwing up the WCHA conference altogether. But we won't get into that. That's a whole nother rant I'd like to get on. But talking about Caulfield too, I mean, the fact that he is the sizes that he's at in today's NHL, there's only a handful of guys that I can name off the top of my head that are around that area. Cam Atkinson and Nathan Gerby were the two guys in the NHL that contributed at those smaller sizes, and those guys have pretty good careers. Atkinson was tearing it up with Columbus, and then Gerby for Buffalo for a few years as well. But they were able to at least establish the fact that even the little guys can still go out there and contribute. But it like Gab was saying too about the fact that, I mean, he played 2 games at NHL and he's got 4 points, and even going to be called up by Montreal. I mean, there's a lot that goes into that too, especially for playing a franchise like Montreal. And the fact that at the size that he's at and being able to be a top guy for the stature that he's at, it also speaks to the fact that he can also put up, a few things on the other side too. Defensively still needs a little bit of work in some areas. Obviously he's putting up big numbers and points, but if you're going to be able to stay in the NHL for a long time, you got to be able to contribute on the other side of the puck too. So it'd be interesting to see how that translates going into playing for Montreal here very soon.
100%. And also I did hear too that, Gallagher's been out of the lineup for quite a bit, and, he's a big presence for the Habs, and it'd be interesting to see what kind of role Caulfield can play stepping into that little guy role for them. So.
All right. Well, there you go. All your analysis you need on goal Caulfield. So we're gonna use that if you don't mind. I mean, if unless Breaking Into the League wants to copyright it itself. But
I mean, Ryan's the one that came up with it. So hey, you might have to go through him first. But
yeah, I probably have to. But I like it. I think it's a great nickname. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Gabs, before we start wrapping up here, what is planned for the next episode of Breaking Into the League? What do you got for us?
So I'm just going to give you guys a heads up. We're still a baby with this podcast. I think we only have like 40 follows on Twitter, and we'll throw out our handle here in a little bit at Instagram because we hope to get our social media platform rolling. But Ryan and I, what we do is we just pick a guy a week. I text him, hey, my guy is so-and-so. He says, hey, my guy, I'll research this guy. We plan to record actually either tonight or sometime this weekend or early this coming week. But my player is Alexander Romanov. He's a defenseman for the Montreal Canadiens. Paul heard that. Paul, you like Romanov? You know what?
I do like Romanov a little bit. I'd like to see what he comes up with here in the next year or so.
Yeah. I was looking into him yesterday. I mean, the guy's only 20 years old. He's got a lot of potential. Looks like he throws the body around quite a bit.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I haven't watched much of the Habs this year, and I guess with Caulfield coming up, I guess I'd have more of a reason to watch their games. But Romanov, he's I think he already has a goal. He scored his first career goal this year with them. But yeah, like I said, he'll just throw the body around, it seems. And then Ryan's going to be researching Jamie Drysdale of the Anaheim Ducks. So that's how we roll with break into the league, man. That's how we roll.
Well, that's great. Well, first of all, that's great. And, I understand, it's still, you're still in the process of gaining those, but you being on the show, you're going to gain like 100 more. Okay. You're going to gain 100 more.
Just me? Why is that, man?
No, I'm just not just you. I'm saying your podcast in general. That's
the whole kit and caboodle, baby.
The whole kit and caboodle. That's what we do here. We help out. We do that for our fellow podcasters as well. I mean, we got Werewolf Hell that we promote. We got Jack's Junkyard we promote. I mean, we got so many people that, and we're more than willing to help you out on that and get those followers up.
You want to find another cadet to promote, even though he's not playing Is he maybe he's still playing hockey? But when we were on that UND subject, Cal.
Yeah.
Remember Kriegs?
Yeah, Petey.
Yeah,
yeah.
Petey Krieger, man. I kind of wish I was up here when he was playing for the Dogs, but hey, he's making STA proud right there.
He is. He definitely is. And I've talked to him a couple times, and who knows, maybe we get him on the show. It's possible. We'll have our people talk to his people and go from there. So, but anyway, it sounds like you guys got a really good lineup for this upcoming week, and we'll be tuning in, and it should be fun. But one other thing, I did notice, I was listening before I came on here. I think you guys were doing a little Gruden, I believe.
Oh boy,
on your podcast, and just to say, I got my own shtick with Coach Gruden. He's actually been on the show a couple times. So, I tell you what, man, Kirill Kaprizov, man, he's gonna be the real deal. I tell you what. So
I like this guy.
yeah.
That's
I like this guy,
favorite.
man.
I really like this
Check this
guy.
out, man. Come on, man. But I had to mention that because I had to check it. I was just listening to the podcast and I had to check that out for you, man. So
my favorite is how he always hypes up like the most routine throws as a quarterback, and he's like, "You just can't throw a better ball than that." And it's like, what? You're acting like this is like the Hail Mary pass or something or the Hail Mary pass that Eli Manning had back, in that New England Patriot Super Bowl. He acts exactly. Like every pass is like that.
Exactly. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But Adu, I mean, it's one of those things where he overhypes it. That's what he does. He overhypes it, but we love him for it. So that's kind of the big thing. So,
exactly.
But anyway, Gabs, we'd love to talk more. We'll have you on again. But also, I don't want to persuade you either way. We do have stickers if you're interested. There's $2 and $3. Let me know. We can work out a deal under the table or something like that. No, but I'm just saying, don't want to persuade you either way. But we do have we have bumper stickers,
merch.
Little stickers.
We got merch.
All the merch. Maybe we're next with the merch.
Exactly. So, but hey, Gabs, thanks for coming on. And make sure you guys check out Breaking Into the League. And where can you find the podcast, Gabs?
Yes. So we're on all platforms: Spotify, Apple, Pandora. They do podcasts. I mean, there's countless avenues to listen to our stuff. Yes, and another thing too, for all you listening, you want to know more about Ryan and I and our goofy friendship and just what we chat about, and then also about up and coming talents in the NHL. Our Twitter and Instagram handles are both break_into_NHL. Break_into_NHL. That's where you can find us. Podcast Breaking Into the League.
Check it out. It's good stuff. So all you hockey fans and everything like that, check it out. The Zoners will check it out. I almost guarantee it. So not almost. Oh no, actually they will. I'm sorry. But anyway, Gabs, thanks for coming on. And up next is Absurd or Approved. Yeah, it is time for Absurd or Approved, as we like to say. So, but anyway, it was a fun interview with Gabs. I mean, he knows his stuff. Yeah. I can't wait. I mean, the next episode should be coming out here soon, Voldy. So I'm looking forward to it. The Zoners, make sure you guys check it out too. We had a lot of fun with Gabs and whatnot. So, anything else to add with that, Voldy?
I just really hope that people can look past the fact of the politics of the Kirill Kaprizov Calder Trophy Rookie of the Year situation. Although that Robertson kid down in Dallas is putting up some big points this year for them. But, if it doesn't go to Kirill, that just means that the Minnesota Wild are going to have to boycott the NHL. But it has to come to that at some point because the pure ridiculousness of the fact that it doesn't matter how old he is. It's his first year in the NHL. He's automatically eligible for the Rookie of the Year. That's how it works.
I think that's a Voldy's virtue at some point. I think you need to convince the people of that.
Absolutely.
So we'll get to that. All right, like I said, it's time for Absurd or Approved.
It's time for everyone's favorite segment, Absurd or Approved.
All right, we got some good ones tonight. So, Voldy, why don't you rattle them off for us, please?
All right, this will probably be the only time we ever talk about soccer to lead off absurd or approved. This is just ridiculous
Sorry,
how this
Caitlin
week
and
has
Kristen.
gone. We go from Sunday to now, from quite the possible formation of one of the best soccer leagues in the world to basically nothing at this point. It was announced on Sunday. 12 of Europe's top football clubs were going to be launching their own breakaway Super League that did include the likes of Real Madrid, Arsenal, Chelsea, Barcelona, Juventus, Liverpool, Tottenham Hotspur, Manchester City, and Manchester United, all to see that crumble with about 2-3 days from Sunday when they did announce it to basically yesterday when basically every big team did pull out of the Super League as well, citing multiple different areas and reasons as well, looking at the fact that even UEFA, that the ones that do kind of play into some things that go along with FIFA and also the the World Cup that everybody wants to try and play for and try to win as well, basically said, well, if these teams decide to split, then that means that the players that are going to be on those teams probably won't be eligible for playing for their country and also banned from UEFA and also FIFA competitions as well. Then one chip decided to fall after another. Chelsea decides to pull out, then every other team that goes along with it. Manchester City, Man United, Liverpool, Arsenal, Tottenham Hotspur, all decide to fold in and also pull out on Tuesday, which they did confirm, of the proposed European Super League that they were trying to put together as well. Absurd or approved, the quick turnaround that was for this supposed Super League for, I guess as they say over in Europe, football.
Well, first of all, I consider it as soccer, and I think you would too, Voldy, so that's that.
Yep.
There's that. But I'm going to quote somebody here, and he's actually a zoner, and he listens to the show a little bit. He likes to say this saying a lot, and I think this sums it up pretty well. They got a little greedy. They got greedy as hell. They got so greedy that they just could not help themselves. And the thing is they got so greedy that it backfired on them. So here's the quote I'm going to read. This is rich. I cannot stress more strongly at the moment UEFA and the football world stand together alongside this disgraceful, self-serving project from a select few clubs in Europe, fueled by greed above all else, said Safirin. He's the... oh my God. Yeah, he's the chairman or whatever, Juventus chairman or something like that. And oh my gosh, it's crazy how this just went from, oh my gosh, they're making a super team. And then all of a sudden, they're not making a Super League because all these greedy SOBs are just trying to, make this a huge Super League. And it's like, this is what all you guys are doing this for is money, to make more money. You're making enough money right now, clowns. And that's all I got to say about that, because I don't know much about this whole soccer, deal and whatnot. But based from what I have seen from this is that these guys got greedy and it backfired on them because they are just so stupid. So it's absurd. I mean, it's absurd beyond belief that it's come to this to, explain like, oh, we're going to start a Super League without, all these other teams. And it's like, okay, you're doing this out of greed and for your own self-benefit. So I think it's absurd beyond belief. Voldy, what do you think?
I mean, the thought originally was a good idea. You put some of the best, clubs all together and see what they could do up against each other. In the grand scheme of everything, completely dumb. Just because of the fact that everything's already set in stone. these teams have been playing against each other in these other leagues for so long. Maybe there's some crossover. I really don't know how soccer all works when it comes to how they play against each other, how you get points, who ends up actually winning, all these different stages, aggregates, all that other stuff. I don't care. I really don't. It works for them. Fantastic. Good for those guys. But when you try to break something up altogether and just try to create something out of thin air, who the hell knows what happened? All I know is it was a good idea. Then in 3 days, it all went to hell. I can at least say this. The XFL lasted a whole season.
Yep.
It lasted a whole nother season after that, too, last year before they had to shut everything down because of COVID and end up having to fold. Here's looking to 2022 to hopefully that The Rock can turn things around and bring back greatness to the XFL. So we're definitely looking forward to that. But at least the fact that, again, in principle, good idea, completely absurd in the execution.
What a bunch of clowns. I mean, it's just, that's what they are. They're absolute clowns. And Voldy, I think you would agree with this, Jimbo, saying Big Ten hockey is the same thing.
Yeah, most definitely. just trying to screw it up for everybody.
Yep. And then Matt says it doesn't look good that the majority of the owners that were involved were Americans, changing the landscape of European soccer.
Yeah, exactly. The group that owns Liverpool is the group that owns the Red Sox.
It's just crazy.
Just saying.
Just crazy. And A-Rod's is almost very, very close of owning the Timberwolves here. So there's that as well. That's
Still got 2 years to screw that up.
Yeah,
so.
That's a good point. All right, next one, Voldy.
Well, we transition from the ownership group that owns one of the soccer leagues to actually the owner group that owns the Red Sox. Now, it was over the weekend that the Boston Red Sox did change up a little bit of things uniform-wise from their iconic red and white with accents of navy blue to unveil their new City Connect jerseys that are a first major jersey collaboration with Nike since they did become the official uniform maker for the uniform supplier in 2019 with Major League Baseball. They unveiled yellow and powder blue uniforms this past Tuesday that are reminiscent of the colors for the Boston Marathon. Some different changes as well. Obviously, they went with blue hats, yellow B. They've got some different accents on them as well. Yellow socks. Players completely bought into it as well. But this isn't the first time that this is going to be happening. This is going to be happening all season long as too. Other teams like the Miami Marlins, Chicago White Sox, the Cubs, Diamondbacks, Giants, and Dodgers are all going to get their own City Connect jersey, but it seems that every Major League Baseball team is going to be getting one by 2023 that's going to work with not only with the team as well, but also, as quoted as saying, that's connected to the personality and community of each city as well. Now, my question is, is it absurd or approved Boston's City Connect jersey? And when and if and when the Twins do get one, what would it look like?
Well, to answer your first question with the Red Sox, the color, and Jimbo said it right here too, terrible color combination, which, I don't hate it. I mean, I don't really hate the combination. I'd just be interested to see how it looks, obviously, when they're out playing and whatnot. But, I mean, it's not awful. I don't really necessarily hate it. It's different because you think Red Sox, okay, you think red, dark blue, and all that stuff. But it's, I like the concept of it. I think it makes sense. But, the question is does it have to be the colors of the specific team? Now, it doesn't really have to, because the Twins have the very light blue, Twins jersey that, you and I are big fans of, by the way.
Absolutely.
And
powder blues for life.
The powder blues are fantastic. And, the yellow and blue combination is okay. It's not terrible. But if and when the Twins do it, I think the color for the Twins, and I'm feeling red. I'm feeling red again, but we're gonna go red and maybe black with it or something like that. I don't know. I just feel like it would be interesting to see if they had something like that, just off the top of my head, okay? And maybe it's going to look awful. I don't know. I'm just thinking of some ideas that this would, how this would work. And obviously it's starting to turn out to be MinneZona colors, as I'm just realizing right now. But at the same time, I'd be fine with that. You'd be fine with that. The zoners would be fine with that. So we have that going for us. Davis says the throwback Minneapolis Laker jerseys have those color concepts, and I really like it. And I don't see it. I don't see a huge issue with it. I don't hate it. I think it's decent. So I'll give it my stamp of approval. But at the same time, let's see what the other teams got. So, Voldy, what do you think?
Yeah, the Miami Marlins are going to be the next team that gets it. May 21st is when they're going to be slated for their City Connect. Look, I love them. I think they're great.
Okay.
When I first saw them, it took me back a little bit, and then I thought, it's the Boston Marathon colors. They got the patch on the sleeve that's got like a race. It looks like a racing bib on it as well. They wore them over the weekend as well, which coincides with the Patriots Day holiday, which also happens to coincide with the Boston Marathon on Monday. They play a game at like 11 o'clock on Monday to coincide with the marathon. And obviously, 8 years ago was the Boston Marathon bombings. That really brought the whole city together as well. And obviously, that's another thing that they took into account. Look, the color combination threw me through a loop at first, and I had to think, okay, yeah, it connects with the city and everything. So much so that I said, hey, look at this. I showed it to Sarah. She almost bought me one right then and there. Yeah, the hats are cool.
Hats are really cool.
I like that. The socks are even better too. Sarah almost bought me a pair of socks too, and I wouldn't be surprised here by Father's Day or something, or birthday, Christmas. Just, hey, it's a Tuesday. There's a package for you in the mail, and it's, oh, look at that. That's cool. That would probably happen because it probably would. That's the type of person that I married as well. Initially, again, it took me back, and I thought about it for a second. I like it, and all I ask for the Twins, please, 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 do not make the uniforms Prince related. I swear on my grave, can we please let Prince be dead? I'm sick and tired of it. Yeah, the jerseys are great.
I'm just showing it what's for the zone.
Yeah, exactly.
Keep going. Yeah.
Please, just let the man be dead. He's been dead for quite some time. Quit digging up the past. There's plenty of other things that we can do. Look, you can guys blow me up in the comments all you want. As long as the Twins don't make a uniform Prince related. The Timberwolves did it. That was nice for the time being. And it's a cop-out is what it is. It's a cop-out. It's too easy to do. Come up with something else. Plenty other musicians, plenty other things to draw it in as well. Do something First Avenue related. I think the Lynx did something that was close to First Avenue related with their different uniforms they've got coming in for this year. Do something different. I have no idea what they're going to do, but all I know is Nike is going to probably shaft the Twins in that situation with the City Connect uniforms because it's Minnesota. We never get anything nice, and if we do, we find a way to screw that up as well. It's approved in my mind. My big stamp of approval for the Red Sox uniforms.
All right, well, there you go. So, I mean, it's got my stamp of approval. I'm not as big on it as you, but I think it works. I really do. So we'll leave it like that. But we go from talking about jerseys and baseball to football. So next one, Voldy.
The same type of people that don't like the new uniforms coming out are the same people that don't think that Julian Edelman's a Hall of Famer. And shame on all you people. Why all the hate for Julian Edelman? Another story. Voldy's Virtues probably coming up here in another week or so. We'll talk about that as well. But yes, we talk about another uniform combination that's had a lot of hype in it since I think the start of last season. The Cincinnati Bengals are having a brand new look coming into this season as well. And honestly, not a whole lot of change from what they had to begin with. They did unveil their, quote, new stripes that they'll be having. And, of course, the only player to usher in the new era for the new uniforms, how about former wide receiver Chad Johnson? Chad Ochocinco suited up one more time in Bengals colors to present to the new Cincinnati Bengals as well, with white, black, and orange. 9 different uniform combinations that goes along with the new era. Obviously, they got a franchise quarterback in Joe Burrow, and looking to make a little bit more noise with a nice young crop of players that they have, and looking to add on a couple more pieces as well. Absurder approved the new stripes for the Cincinnati Bengals.
Well, you know, I think they're fine. I mean, I guess it's got my stamp of approval. I think they're safe. I don't know if that's the best word for it, but it's fine. I mean, you know, obviously I'm looking at it right now. You know, the orange, I mean, that's pretty much how I thought it was going to be. The black, same deal. White, same. I mean, there's really not much change. It's not something to where I'm like, oh my gosh, these are amazing jerseys. I love these. It's safe. And obviously we got Chad Ochocinco wearing it, which is pretty sweet, by the way. But yeah, I think they look good. They say uniting our past with our future, and it's like, well, it all looks the same. It's just, I feel like there's more color. There's more orange. There's more black in that jersey as well. And then the white, you know, the white one's fine. I'm looking at it right now. They're doing the whole video thing, so I'm trying to keep track of everything. But it's, yeah, I mean, it's safe. And, you know, you got people doing the gritty, you know, and all that stuff. But at the same time, it's safe. And like Jimbo's saying right here, yep, not much of a change. Oh, well, next. You know, moving on. So they're fine. They're safe. I'd say stamp of approval. So what are your thoughts, Voldy?
Yeah, you know, if I would have played this out a little bit better, I would have done a little show and tell to see what their old uniforms look like compared to the new ones. But honestly, the only really change is that they just made it more one color. Like, the jersey is orange. Here's the white number. Here's the black around the numbers. Black stripes. That's it. As about a generic, clean-cut look as it can be. You know, Bengals going across the chest. They got orange, black, and, you know, and white as well. That's it. It'd be a lot better if they had different colored helmets to go along with it too. But, you know, we'll see if the NFL decides to change that one shell rule on everything. But, you know, given the previous look that they had, it's got my stamp of approval. There's always room to improve.
There's always room to improve. I 100% agree. I do like the black jersey concept. I really do. I like that, how they have that one. And I'm telling you, the Vikings, come on. Pull the trigger on it. It would look so sick. Come on. But, yeah, honestly, they're fine. I don't think they're trash. I think they're pretty nice jerseys. So we'll put them at decent. So, all right, next one, Voldy.
Well, we say here the NFL, and we talked about how maybe the NFL wants to maybe loosen the rules when it comes to the one shell rule, as in one helmet design for every team. Well, the NFL and the Players Coalition, the Players Association, I should say, are approving now a position-specific helmet design for the first time since they began regulating equipment for players. They decided to say that offensive linemen and defensive linemen are only allowed to wear one helmet as opposed to basically any other design that they have. It's going to be built for offensive and defensive linemen. The VICIS 02R Trench is called the number 2 helmet on the league's safety ratings, according to their recent safety rankings for 2021. The helmets are equipped with bumpers on the front and upper ends, where NFL engineering has showed a common point of contact for linemen who absorb concussion-causing contact, things of that sort. Absurdo approved the NFL implementing the rule for the helmet design that every offensive and defensive lineman now has to wear in the league.
Well, they did the research, and they did a lot of nice research with it when I was taking a look at this. 18% of the players finished the 2020 season using one of the 9 helmet models. Dr. Christy Arbogast said, an engineering consultant for the NFLPA, said that almost all of them will move a better performing helmet in 2021. So they're taking analysis from 2020 and moving it to 2021 here, which will help. And like you said, with the bumpers and everything like that for the linemen, it's to prevent, all these concussions that happen, that we know of and maybe even don't know of, because, obviously a lot of guys we've seen have a lot of CTE with not a lot of proper protection of the head. And they said that the past 3 seasons from 2018 to 2020, 25% lower than the previous 3 seasons. That is very good. They are making progress, and they're heading in the right direction to try and protect NFL players. And not only NFL players. I mean, this is college players. This is high school. Even, peewees and everything like that, too. So we're continuing to progress. Obviously, there's still concussions that happen, but they're more aware of it now. And obviously, we want to make sure that we're protecting players and whatnot, because we've seen what happens when you have multiple concussions. I mean, just ask Gronk. Gronk's had multiple. Wes Welker. Throwing that in there as well. So, the more that we can upgrade this equipment, the better. And obviously, why not, have the same technology and add the retro helmets like we were saying, Voldy, not too long ago. So, it's got my stamp of approval. I think it makes sense. If it's going to protect these guys, then I'm all for it. So, Voldy, what do you think?
Yeah, I think this is a smart move in the grand scheme of everything. Obviously, they've done their research and everything, and the amount that they've done in a short amount of time, with obviously seeing, too, that, with obviously more information, they put a greater emphasis in health and safety of their players as opposed to the past. And seeing a reduction in concussion rates over the past 3 seasons, down 25% as opposed to the previous 3 seasons from 2018 to 2020. 25% lower in reported concussions from 2015 to 2017 as well. And if this is another thing that they can do to kind of prevent that to continue the downward trend in concussions, I don't see why not. Makes it a lot easier for guys to pick out helmets too. Now they just got to worry about how big of their heads they're going to have to be to try and get the right size of the helmet as well. So it's got my stamp of approval as well.
With helmets, it was always kind of a strong. I have a huge head, as you probably could tell.
You and me both.
And it was painful trying to put some of those on. It took a special helmet to try and fit on my head when I played football. Mm-hmm. So I understand that, but it seems like this, like we said, it seems it's working, and we're happy that it is. So going from that. All right, last one, Voldy.
This one was an interesting find that I had earlier today. So basically, the PGA is now making it a better incentive for their players, for the golfers, to not always do their best. Now, the PGA Tour is going to be putting in place a $40 million bonus plan that will pay the top 10 players based on how much they move the needle rather than their performance on the course. So basically, in the long and short of it all, the PGA wants their players to put on a show rather than actually do well out on the course. Looking at it overall, so basically the top guy gets the most cash, and it goes down and down and down. So basically the top player at the number 1 position gets $8 million. Then after that, all the way down to the 10th best guy that moves the needle, basically, is what we're trying to get to as well. Is it absurd or approved? The PGA wants their golfers to, again, do the dog and pony show as opposed to actually win tournaments.
I listen to this golf podcast, and what I've noticed and what I've heard from, according to my sources, as Adam Schefter would like to say, ratings are down. A lot of people don't, besides watching the Masters, PGA Champion, things like that, but there's not a lot of characters. And the characters that are in the, in golf, and, Tiger's not really a character, I would say. I mean, he's just an icon. as we would put. But the one that's kind of a clown is DeChambeau. DeChambeau is a guy that from many instances he can hit the long ball, but the thing is
Just
he
rip
can't.
it and rip it, baby. This
Yeah.
generation's John Daly, Bryson DeChambeau.
You could,
I love him.
Yeah, I mean, you could definitely classify him with that. But that's the thing. They want to have something to where it gets people talking. And, again, there's just not a lot of guys that have that personality like DeChambeau. Patrick Reed's one as well. Obviously, he says what he feels, and he doesn't give a rip who says anything about it. Rory's kind of a little bit soft. He said some maybe a couple controversial things, but they want more entertainment for the sport. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Is that now we're going to award these guys for being a bunch of clowns and just messing around, trying to give off a good show, and we're going to pay them for it. What about the guys that actually work at this to get better and do well? Matsuyama, he just won the Masters. He worked his tail off. He's not he's there to work and win Masters. I mean, that should be enough entertainment and things like that. And I know your brother is a big golf guy too, and I'd like his opinion as well. And obviously, happy birthday to him. More on that later. But $40 million is being funded to the PGA Tour, and it's not tied to any corporate sponsorship. They want to move the needle. They need their ratings up. I think it's absurd because, honestly, if it just turns to be this big charade, it's like, what's the point? And the thing is, there's other ways to do it besides act like an idiot or something like that. Say something controversial so we get our ratings up a little bit. Here's what I say. I say you bring back, and Mets brought this up right here, Barker versus Gilmore Part 2. I agree. I think it should be Gilmore versus McGavin. Part 2. I think that would be more stamp of approval-ish. But to be honest, Voldy, I think it's absurd. I think a lot of guys think that's kind of for the guys that work hard, like a Bubba Watson, who's done well in the past, Dustin Johnson, so Justin Thomas as well. So I don't know. Voldy, what do you think?
Look, you could have sure baffled the hell out of me that golf was hard to watch or wasn't getting the ratings because Masters weekend comes rolling around. My timeline is full of that stuff because white dudes between the age of like 23 to 45 get absolutely hype for the Masters, and I don't get it. Like, you're going to sit down Thursday through Sunday and watch every single minute of coverage of the Masters. I'm going to call you out on it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of other things I wanted to say, but I'm going to call you out on that. Look, basically, you want the golfers to stop caring about golf, and you guys want it to be, you want it to be Happy Gilmore out there. You want them to put on a show. I get that, but you would think if they start winning more, you would think that people would start paying attention more. You want Rory McIlroy, Brooks Koepka, Phil Mickelson, Ricky Fowler, Jordan Spieth, Justin Thomas, Justin Rose, Adam Scott. You want to start paying them for being idiots? Well, obviously, that's probably going to do something, but in the grand scheme of everything, you want these guys to win. Obviously, that's going to draw in more attention than just have them swinging out there and just gripping and ripping it. Obviously, Bryson DeChambeau is doing something. He's finding that niche. But is he winning? I don't know. It's not showing up anywhere in my mind.
Nope.
So it's not working in that regard. Sure, let's pay him $40 million and, throw it in the middle and see what idiot comes out with the most out of all of it. I think it's completely absurd. I think golf just needs to stay in its own lane and just be the quiet old man sport.
And to be honest, I mean, I do watch the Masters, but I don't sit for 4 straight days watching ends on it. The thing is, I get the updates, and then I'll watch the final round. That's about it. But it is enjoyable too. I mean, you have to have a certain taste for it. But at the same time, I think it's absurd. It's like, just let the guys do their thing. Don't let them be anybody else. I mean, it's just it's like, who cares, you know? And if you have the characters out there, fine, whatever. But now we're just gonna pay them to be a bunch of clowns. Okay, whatever. I don't know. The PGA is kind of sketchy too, so there's that as well. But
They're trying too hard is the thing.
Yeah,
They're trying too hard to stay relevant.
and I think that's how we will put it. But anyway, that'll do it for ARA. Voldy, it's time for some Shield shoutouts. We got a couple birthdays we got to get to. So
Yeah, we do.
let's get it going with some Shield shoutouts.
Shield Shoutouts.
All right, Shield, who you shouting at tonight?
Well, do have to send a big happy birthday to my brother, Dixon James Fold, Papa Bufy himself, 29 years old today. Hope he had a wonderful day. A big happy birthday to my brother, and hopefully my niece, Avery Jane, wasn't crying too much in his ear all day. But if we know anything, that probably did happen as well. Also, big happy birthday to Easy A, Andrew Austin as well, celebrating a birthday. So happy birthday to those two loyal zoners as well. Big Shield shout out to those two guys. Earlier this week, did learn that quarterback Alex Smith decided to ride out into the sunset. Happy retirement to Alex Smith, who decided to hang them up after coming back from that catastrophic leg injury and wondering if he was going to even be able to live, let alone play in the NFL once again. And, well, he did end up coming back, winning Comeback Player of the Year as a member of the Washington football team, finishing his career as well. So a big happy retirement, well wishes to Alex Smith in his post-football career. Big Shield shout out to Hill City Northland baseball coach Sam Sparren for the team hat that I was lucky enough to ask for, and luckily enough he had a couple extra. Then he gave me one after broadcasting a game on Monday on a windy and cold day up in Hill City, but all was made the trip worthwhile, and it was a good game overall as well. Do have a couple extra Shield shout-outs here that I forgot to add as well.
Sure.
For those that have been peeking in here a little bit, got to give a big Shield shout-out to Courtney Varenkamp, a good family friend of mine. I don't know if you guys can read that or not, but
yeah,
she made a nice little present for Case, a nice little John Deere pillow, name, birth date, time he was born, weight, and all the other fun little measurables as well. So big Shield shout-out to Courtney. Thanks for the pillow, Courtney. And also, just added here to our little shrine over here. Now, in the Twos family, as my mother-in-law Sheila has done for quite some time, has added this little guy right here. It's a little metal tin cup that's got Case's name, when he was born, and what time as well. Sarah's got one. Sarah's brother Jake's got one. I believe Sheila also has one. My mother-in-law as well. It's a nice little family tradition that they've got on their side of the family as well. So just add that to our little shrine right there. So a big Shield shout out to Sheila for that as well. And I think other than that, it's going to do it for Shield shout outs this week.
All right. Another good set of Shield shout outs for this week. And, a lot of birthdays and a lot of, cool things that have happened this past week. And, Alex Smith, I just want to touch on this real quick. Alex Smith, I mean, what a story. Absolutely, what a story. And
crazy.
Especially when he was drafted and he did not start off well. Then all of a sudden Jim Harbaugh comes along, and all of a sudden his career's just completely changed. He's actually being a very competent quarterback. Goes to Kansas City with Andy Reid, has some good success there, and then he goes to Washington, and obviously with the injury he had, he comes back, wins Comeback Player of the Year. I mean, claps all around for Alex Smith. I mean, honestly, I almost want to buy a jersey. So there's that. But absolutely, Alex Smith, unbelievable story. So. Anyway, Voldy, we're not done yet. We're almost, we'll wrap things up here, but a big thank you to all the zoners. Especially, there's been some zoners that have bought some shirts, Voldy.
Oh, yeah?
$20, $5 shipping. Now, here's the thing. We've had a good surge of that, but we need, I just want to let the zoners know, we need like 2 more people to buy some sweatshirts. So we can
Sweatshirts.
buy it in bulk and then get them to the people we need. If you know anyone or if you want one, let us know. You talk to me, talk to Jimbo, talk to Voldy, talk to the Kerf Doctor. We will get you set up. $40, $5 shipping, MinneZona sweatshirts. You can use them for next winter, or, next fall, winter, when it gets a little cooler out. Or you could use it now, because it's Minnesota, the temp changes all the time. So make sure you get that as well. But then also, too, if you're thinking, maybe I want to do something a little bit cheaper, we have stickers. We have stickers. We've got bumper stickers, folks. We got bumper stickers. We got mini bumper stickers. We've got just regular stickers. We've got window decals. We have a whole slew of stickers. $3 for the bumper stickers and the big stickers as well, and the window decals. And then for the little ones, it's only $2. They're very, very, very cheap. So make sure you check out our MinneZona stickers. We can get them to you really quick. And also, thanks to National Fleet Graphics, Crown Rental, Tyler Knutson, giving these stickers. And then, not only that, Will Rattel, W2 Performance, he's got a new podcast episode out, and it's fantastic. Launch 1.0 has been fantastic. Voldy, one other thing I want to add about Rattel, I just saw him deadlift almost 500, 600 pounds or something like that.
Must be nice.
Rattel, he's an animal. He's an absolute beast, and that's the thing.
Good for him.
But anyway, if you want stickers from these guys too, the Barbell Nerds, they got stickers, $2. Will get it sent to you, and you support the podcast. That's great. And then also Jack's Junkyard. He has apparel now. He has apparel, so make sure you check out some of his apparel. There's plenty of options, as the Kerf Doctor likes to say. So make sure you check out Jack's Junkyard. Season 2 still going on, and with apparel. And then obviously our last one now. Breaking into the league. Make sure you check it out with Sam Gabrielli and Ryan Martin. It's on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you get podcasts. Make sure you check out Breaking into the League with Sam Gabrielli and Ryan Martin. They're going to have a new episode out soon, so make sure you check those guys out. And we thank Abs for coming on the show today.
Yeah, dude.
We really appreciate it. I know he's working right now. He's doing the weather. This is important. Up in Duluth, it gets cold up there. It's windy. You never know. You're very close by him, Voldy, up in Aiken.
It was snow today down in Aiken, so, Lord knows what's going on in Duluth right now.
Snow, I tell you what is going on. I'm sick of it, as Coach Hines likes to say. But anyway, we thank Abs for coming on, working hard as well up in Duluth. But anyway, great job as always, Voldy, with Shield Shoutouts, ARA, all that fun stuff.
Thanks, sir.
And we'll be back next week. We're going to have more fun. The draft, the NFL draft is coming up. We're going to be talking a lot about that. And I think we need to get Mikey on. So we gotta make sure we make that happen.
Yeah, we
got
do.
it. And Voldy, you give me your pick. We got to make our picks that day. So we got to make our predictions who the Vikings are going to pick. So fingers crossed it's somebody good, but we'll see. But anyway, as always, folks, keep in the zone.
Holla.
Thank you for watching MinneZona Sports Live. Join us Wednesdays at 7 p.m. for live show broadcast. And as Voldy likes to say, follow us on all the socials medias.